A very common question that many people have is how many sets and reps are you supposed to do for each muscle group to build the maximum amount of muscle? In today's video, I'm going to dive deep into answering this question, and really the fact is that there is no one size fits all when it comes to sets and reps. In case you're an absolute beginner, let me start by clarifying what a set is. A set is a group of consecutive repetitions. So what that means is that if you do, let's say, 10 reps of a shoulder press, and then you put the weight down, well, that's considered a set. Now the reason why it can't just be like, just do 6 sets, or 9 sets, or 20 sets, is because building muscle is not simply dependent on the number of sets. Building muscle is a function of total training volume, and volume is your sets times your reps times intensity. At this point, you already know what sets and reps are. Intensity in regard to building muscle is usually defined by how much weight you're using during that set. So you could generally view volume as sets times reps times your weight load. For the most part, the more volume you do, the more muscle you're gonna grow. So the goal has to be to increase your volume over time if you want to gain some muscle mass. Something else that you should know is that different people have different ratios of muscle fiber types in their body. We have slow twitch muscle fibers, which are mostly used for longer duration activities, such as running at a steady pace and performing exercises at higher rep ranges. And we also have fast twitch fibers, which you would use when you're going really heavy with lower reps and when you're doing something that requires explosive strength, such as sprinting. The percentages of slow and fast twitch muscle fibers is highly dependent on your genetics. One isn't necessarily better than the other. However, each requires a different approach to stimulate growth. Fast twitch requires less sets, less reps, and heavier weight, while slow twitch will require the opposite: more sets, more reps, and lighter weight. When I say lighter weight, I still mean you should go heavy. You should be going heavy enough to where you're still failing at the end of your set. All I mean by lighter weight is that you're obviously not going to be able to lift the same weight for 15 reps that you could lift for 6 reps. But again, if you have mostly slow twitch muscle fibers, that doesn't mean that you pick a weight that you could easily do for those 15 reps. It should still be heavy, and you should still be failing by the 14th or 15th rep for sure. You may be wondering what type of muscle fibers you have, and really it's not that important which type you have. The reason for that is because you have both. So the important thing is to understand that you have 2 different types, and you should train both types of muscle fibers. You can do this by doing periodization. A simple way to define periodization would be to mix up your rep ranges. So for 3 weeks, you would do 3 reps, and then for 3 weeks, you would do 6 to 8 reps, and then for 3 weeks, you would do 10 to 15 reps. This will guarantee that you stimulate both of your muscle fiber types. When choosing how many sets to do, generally, the heavier the weight that you lift and the less reps, believe it or not, you'll usually have to do less sets because you're getting a lot more volume from the higher intensity level. And the opposite is true for when you go for the higher rep ranges and the lower intensity levels. You're going to have to do more sets in that case. With periodization, the reps, sets, and the length of time for which you do it for is not set in stone. For example, a different popular approach is to do 2 days of higher reps and sets, like 8 to 12 reps for 6 sets, and then do 1 day of heavier weight for less reps and sets, like 3 to 6 reps for only 3 sets. Periodization is just another way of saying mix it up. You could do smaller cycles of mixing it up, like the 2 lighter days and the 1 heavier day that I just mentioned, or you could do larger cycles like the 3-week cycles that I was talking about earlier. Both approaches work, and you should try both to see which one works best for you. So I still haven't given you guys a solid amount of sets that you should be doing to grow your muscles. Like I said, it's not a very straightforward question, but what I could do is give you guys an answer based on my experience. After years of training, I've learned that I have a good balance of fast and slow twitch muscle fibers, probably leaning a little more towards the fast twitch. So usually my body responds best to using heavy weight for 6 to 8 reps for 3 sets per exercise, and that's not including warm-up. And then for at least 3 different exercises per muscle group. Again, that's 3 different exercises times 3 sets each, which gives us a total of 9 heavy work sets. Then I'll usually throw in a couple isolation exercises as supersets for the heavy work sets, for maybe another 3 to 6 sets. At the end of the day, that'll give me a total of 9 to 15 sets for my large muscle groups, such as my chest, my back, and my legs. For smaller muscle groups like my biceps and triceps, I'll still keep it heavy, but I won't really go past 9 sets. That's because the smaller muscle groups don't need quite as much stimulation. If I'm trying to build muscle, I'll hit the same muscle groups 2 times per week. So that would give me a total of 18 to 30 sets for the larger muscle groups for the week and no more than 18 sets for the smaller ones. Keep in mind that I've been doing this for a long time. It might be much smarter for you to limit yourself to only 9 heavy work sets per muscle group per week when you first start out. Also keep in mind, if you plan to only do higher rep ranges or if you're really advanced, you're going to have to do more sets. Remember that the most important thing for building muscle is a higher training volume. And you could create a higher training volume by manipulating sets, reps, and weight load. For me to build muscle, it's always been best to stick to a really heavy weight for roughly 3 sets for 3 different exercises. But to progress, I would always cycle in some higher rep range periods for more sets to increase my strength for when I want to go back to the lower rep range periods. Try to cycle different rep and set ranges to see what works best for you. But remember that to build muscle as a natural, you should always keep the weight heavy for the particular rep range that you're working on. So that's it. I really hope this video has helped you guys out and that I didn't confuse you too much. There was a lot of information. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave it a thumbs up, comment below, and subscribe to this channel. I'll see you guys next time.